Welcome CSC200 back to part 4 of our ex5 working with states and cities. And since we're working with a foreign key, we're going to try to do some joins just to show a little bit more information. Plus it'll reinforce working with joins since we only did that one time. And the last thing we did here was just show our cities, and we just limited to the top 20 of populated cities from our cities table. And we didn't do anything with the states table. And we do have a state ID here. And if you knew what the state ID is, I can tell 2 is Pennsylvania, but I don't really know these state IDs by heart. What would be nice is if we could actually have the abbreviation here instead of just the number, because that would make more sense. But our abbreviation is in the states table, and this is in this table. And this is obviously, it's not, we don't want to duplicate data, but we want to be able to grab that with a join. So we're going to go back and look at a join again. So we just have to kind of review that a little bit. And remember, for a join, we do something like this, where we start abbreviating or proceeding with the table name and then the columns that we want. And we can kind of pick one of the tables that we want to use, and we interjoin with the other table, and then we find where they match. So we find where the foreign key equals the primary key. So we're going to kind of use this thing, and I'll even copy this. This is from interjoin, SQL interjoin on W3 Schools. I'll try that out first if we're not sure on how that works, but I'll do that down here. And what we want to do first, again, looking at this, is maybe just show the abbreviation. Now that's going to be from the state table. We could still show the population. We could still show the city. I don't know if we really need this. So we could just have 3 columns there and see how that looks. So let's try that out. So I'm going to just wipe out this stuff here. And what we're going to look for is cities.city, because it's from the cities table, and it's going to be the city name. We want that. And then from the states table, we're going to use the abbreviation. And then we also are going to use population, which is from the cities. So we have the city, the abbreviation, and the pop from 2 different tables. And again, we're joining, we could say from states. I don't think it matters which one you use first. And down here, we'll say cities. So you want to make sure when you're using 2 that these are getting from different ones here. And what we want to use for the on is where they meet. So where they meet is where the primary key meets the foreign key. So on states, it's the order ID. And on cities, we made that the state ID. So this is where they have common, this is where they're common. This is where they're going to overlap right here, where we can match them up. And then now we're just showing different things, because now from the join, we could use data from both of the tables. So that's what we're going to try to do here. So this is, we're going to kind of start simple and kind of work from there. We're going to select these 3 columns by the table and then the column. And then we're going to join these 2 tables right here. And then this is where they have the commonality. So let's see what happens by doing this. And it looks good so far. These are all the 100 cities in our list, and it's starting with Philadelphia, and it might be ordering by state ID still. We didn't order it by population yet, but this is pretty much what we want. So we can adjust this a little bit, and we can limit it if we don't want so many. So we can keep adapting this. We just have to do it in front of the semicolon. And if we wanted to like limit it or even change the order, we would do order first. So we'll say order by, and whatever we want to order it by. We can order by population, which we'd make sure we say cities.pop. And whenever we order it, we like to do descending because we want the largest first. So we'll try that. And then we can even say limit. If we don't want to do all of them, we could say limit 20, because we did that on the other one. On the first one, we did a limit 20. So let's see what happens here. This should put the top 20 in order. It should almost be like what we did here, except it should put the state's abbreviation in there. So let's copy this and see what this looks like. And that's pretty much what we want. We have the highest in terms of population going down. That's our descending, and that's our order by population. We have the abbreviations here, and here we have the cities. And now what we can do is let's see if we could find out which states have the most cities that are in that top 100 list. Now we probably know that it's probably California. I think from that list it had a lot of them when we first went through the list, but how can we count them? And that'll actually help by using the word count, because remember, we could do a count. And we could kind of start with this here. And if you want to identify this here, you could put a comment. And this is the top 20 cities by population with abbreviation. That way I know what I'm doing here in case I have a couple different queries going on. So I'm going to copy this, and paste it. And what we mentioned doing now is doing some kind of count. And I'm not worried about population here because I basically want, now what I really want is I want the states. So in this one, I'm looking for states. So I'm going to say states.state. So I want the state from the states table, and I'm going to do a count of, I could probably do a count of the abbreviations. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I'm going to group that. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to say group by, and I'm going to group by states abbreviation. We could use the ID, but we could also use states abbreviation because if it groups that, it's going to kind of put them together. And we can also do a count of that as well. So here we have states, and here we have states abbreviation. What we could do here is also do a count of their abbreviation. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to do a count of states.abbreviation. And again, we could use the state ID because that really means the same thing because they're all unique. But I'm going to start here and do states, and then the abbreviation, and then the count of how many. Now, because we're doing group by, what that should do is group them together so it's only counting how many are going to be in that group. How many of all those cities are going to be in that group. And I'm not going to do anything with order by right now. Let's just see what happens here. Let's just try this out. So we have states abbreviation, and we're going to do a count of states abbreviation because we're grouping by. Now let's see what happens here. And what we get here is we get a group, and you can see we have 17, that's the California. We have 13, which is Texas. So this is what we want. They're grouping them together, and it's saying there's 34. So there's only 34 states represented out of the 50 in these top 100. So this is where they all meet. In all the 100 cities, this is like the breakdown. And we're grouping them by abbreviation. We could have grouped by state ID, but because it's the same thing, it's still grouping all the CAs together. So we don't even need the state here, but it helps that it spells it out. So if we wanted to put this in order now we could use this, and I should change this here. So we're going to be counting the groups. We're grouping them by abbreviation or counting how many are in the group. That way we'll know how many cities are in there. That's kind of what that's doing. So again, we could have used state ID, but we're using the abbreviation. And all that we want to do at the end here after we group it is we could say order by, and we could say order by states abbreviation. But what we really want to order by is this count because we want the highest one first. So we can order by this count that we have here. And we can even say descending so that it puts the highest one first. And what it should do is put California first. So by grouping these state abbreviations, and like I said, we could have done the state ID, but let's see what happens here. And what we get is California up top, which is what we expected, Texas, and then there's all these here. So it's a long group here. And if you just wanted to cut them off and say maybe everything under or everything over a certain amount, you could still put something like that in there. Possibly a where statement and have where that count is above 2 or above 1 or something. So if you wanted to count off anything from Kentucky down and say what states have 3 or more, you can do that. And again, I'll copy this again. And if you remember last time, we used something called having. Let's see if that works. I think we can still use where, but let's try having. And we're going to be having this count. We're going to have that be greater than 2. Let's see what happens here. So we're going to use having. I think we can also use a where, I believe, but let's just see what happens with this having count here. So we used that before when we did a join. So I'm going to copy this, and what it should do is just cut off everything after Colorado. That's what we're trying to do here. And that worked. We cut off everything after Colorado. So by using this having count greater than 2, that gave us a further limit on what we're doing there. Now, obviously, we could change the names of these. We could say cities. You can adjust this by using the as. That would make it look nicer. So you could say count as, and you could say cities per state would be fine. And let's just see what that looks like. It should just look a little better. Shouldn't give us any different data. And now cities per state. So it's showing California. And if you wanted to see ones that are just California, Now, this wouldn't involve the group, I don't believe, but let's try something else. We'll try another thing. What if we wanted to see all the cities in California or all the cities in Texas or something like that? Now we're seeing the groups and we're seeing which ones have the most. And I haven't figured out a way yet to show the ones that aren't represented, although I'm sure there's a way. But if we want to find, like, just list the cities in California that have this, and we can use abbreviation, that's why we're going to still use a join. So let's say we wanted to do that. I'm going to take this one up here. I'll start with this one, and I'll make another query down here. And again, what would we want? We'd want city names, and we wouldn't need the abbreviation because if we're doing California, we wouldn't need it. And you could even put as cities in, I'll just say CA. I'll just do that and put quotes around it. So it'll say cities in CA, and then it'll say, pop, and you could do as population. And remember, you don't need quotes, although sometimes it looks better. It looks consistent when you do that. So we're just going to have cities, and then the cities pop. And although it still says from states, and the reason we're doing that is we're going to use the abbreviation to help us do that because that's going to be part of a condition. And where we're going to put that, normally we'd put it here. Normally we'd say where states.abbreviation, and let's try that. But I tried it another time, and I had a problem with it. So let's just try it. Let's say where states.abbreviation equals CA, and then we're just joining from the two tables and where they meet, and then we can order by cities.population because we're still doing cities.pop, and we don't have to put any limit. We still might do descending because then we could see the highest populated cities in California. Let's see if this works because I've done it another time where I was able to use where after the join, and we might have to, so let's see what happens here. And we get an error at line 3, and that's what happened last time. It doesn't like this being here, even though that's where we usually put that. Where I did it last time, I took this out, and I had to do it after the join, because I guess it has to join to find that. To do that filter, I guess it has to find it first. So I'm going to cut that from there, and I'm going to put it here before the order by. I'll put that on another line, and I'll paste this here and see if this works. So I'm going to do the inner join. Then I'm going to say, after the join, say where this is just California, and then I'll still order by that. And let's see how this works. Gets it done. And that actually gets it done. Cities in California, I spelled population wrong, and it starts with Los Angeles. We have them ordered by population. You can order them by alphabetical order if you need to. And that would just be ascending from that list when it's a string. If you just do it ascending, it would be in alphabetical order, and it's showing there's 17. If you wanted to see any other states, you would just change the abbreviation. We know abbreviations. We don't know order IDs is something we don't know. So in this one here, we had to put the kind of the filter of what we're going for. If you put, I know here's another one, Texas has a lot of them. And maybe we'll do order by cities.city. We'll do it by name here. And we'll do ascending and see what happens. Now I'm changing these. I should have made a copy, but I'm going to copy this. And I'll go back and do the ones in Texas. And there's Texas, starting with Arlington, Austin, Corpus Christi, etc. So it's in order by that, and I still didn't fix population yet, which I should. But now I'm showing 13 here. And again, we already did the query where we showed 13 for Texas. So we're able to grab some data here between the two tables, and that's what we're looking to do. So what we did here is we did a join, and we showed the cities and the population, and then we filtered by abbreviation by putting the where here, and we still ordered by cities. You can order by pop, by population, any of that. But the main thing is with the join, just keep in mind, is that you're selecting from, you could select from anything you want from either table, but when you do the from inner join, this is the main part of the join. That's when you're saying these two tables, we want to use these, and we're basically joining wherever the primary key matches the foreign key. And then we can throw some other things in here. So that was a nice little introduction to that. I think the joins are a little more complicated. They take a little time to work out. There's certainly other things I'd like to try that I'm not going to do it while I'm recording it because I don't want to get errors and do a lot of experimenting while I'm recording. But I think that's good for now, and I'm going to give you a couple challenges with this that'll be similar to what we're doing here with the join because I want you to get familiar with the join. I know some of these can be a little tough in the beginning. At this point, what I want you to do is you can save this, and you could save all your queries here. And then if you have everything you did, now everything I I did here, I started again, so I have to go to the top. Thought I could maybe just click and double click on something and then go to the bottom and then shift click, and that selects all. So then I'll do a Command C and I'll go to my console and I'll just keep adding to this thing. I'm not even sure what I did last, but I'm going to go here and just paste here to my console. And if you don't have your console open, let me save it here. If you don't have it open, just go here, and you could even go right on here where it says State Cities, and if you right click on there and say open link in new tab, it'll take you into that directory, that new directory, that State Cities directory that we have, and then you could go to your console and open that up in another tab. And then if you want to go down to the bottom of that, so you have all your stuff here, you could go down to the bottom and just paste in all that, save it, and again, that way you're backing up all your console work. So it doesn't matter whatever happens here, if you wipe this out, if this deletes, it doesn't matter because you're saving all your work here. Just remember, hit that green button. If you see an asterisk there, just keep hitting it, and then also save your queries. Now this is all the cities queries that I was working on. I split these up between the states and the cities. So this is the city stuff when I actually created it, and I added the cities and I did all that. So that's good for now. We may do some more with this, but for now this should be enough for you to work on for a little bit until we start to do more with this. And we may do a little Python to actually pull information instead of just writing queries right in the console like you would with PHP, but we can't do that in here, but we can use Python in here. So we may do some of that. But anyway, that's part 4, and that's good for now. So enjoy doing that and working with your cities and states. And when you're done with this, whatever you do, make sure you put a comment and just let me know that it's there to look at, and I'll have instructions posted momentarily for this.